The Nashville Predators defeated the St. Louis Blues in a way you are not going to believe.
You're Locked On Predators, your daily podcast on the Nashville Predators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Predators podcast, and thank you for making us your first listen of the day. We are your free daily Nashville Predators podcast. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Want to kick off this Friday post-game episode the way we kick off all of our episodes, and that is with a special shout out to our Locked On Pred Heads. Those are our everyday listeners who tune in to talk Nashville Predators hockey with us each and every weekday. We thank you for your support. We love that we get to share a little bit of your day with you. I'm Ann Kimmel. I am a writer at Penalty Box Radio. I am usually joined by my partner in crime, Nick Morgan, but Nick is off today. So much to talk about. The Nashville Predators got back in the win column last night against Central Division St. Louis Blues, a team that was desperate to get a win to keep themselves in the playoff chase. On today's Locked On Preds, we are going to recap last night's game, including our one word to describe the game. We're going to talk about the surprising factors that contributed to that Predators win. We're going to update you on the magic number that will ensure Nashville's playoff spot. We're going to preview this weekend's big back-to-back, and I'm going to be sharing my Friday feelings about an award nominee. First, we want to kick off our game recap the way we kick off all of our recaps here, and that is with one word to describe last night's 6-3 win over the St. Louis Blues last night. My one word is finals week in college, and it is that time of year. I remember this time of year. It's been many moons, my friends, since I was there, but I remember the feeling of finals week. I've got a freshman in college going through his second finals week, and it's kind of that time of the year where college students, they've read their textbooks, they've done the quizzes, they've done the tests, they've done their homework, and now they have to wrap up the semester with finals week. And it is a lot of pressure. You have to go back and remember what you learned back in January and February. You have to make sure you have dates and formulas and theories and chemical equations memorized for multiple classes. I remember sitting down and spending hours just studying for finals week, feeling fairly confident. And then I would open up a test book, because back when I went to college, we didn't take tests on computers. And I would see a question on the first page I didn't know, and I would kind of panic a little bit. Of course, sometimes you have essay finals where you not only have to know the answer, but you have to lay out an argument in an organized and succinct way. Fun little fact, I had all essay finals my sophomore year, spring semester, and 2 days before essay finals, I broke my left hand. I'm left-handed. I had to write all of my essay finals with my right hand. That was a whole thing. But finals week, all the kind of the stress and pressure builds and builds. You know that you have to push through, but my gosh, it is not easy. That is how last night's game felt to me. It was the Nashville Predators scrambling to remember their dates and their formulas and their theories for the first two periods, maybe opening the test book and panicking because they saw a question they didn't know right off the bat, but they were able to push through, and they can kind of sit down and relax just for a day or so. If you did not see last night's game, let's walk you through our real quick 30-second recap. Roman Josi got Nashville on the board 31 seconds into this game on a 2-on-1 chance. A defensive zone turnover by, Ryan O'Reilly resulted in a St. Louis goal from the slot in the first period. That was a goal that could have been challenged for goalie interference, but Andrew Brunette opted not to. The game was tied 1-1 after the first period. Second period, Filip Forsberg comes out and scores on an, wait for it, early power play chance. At the end of the period, Anthony Beauvillier scored, wait for it, on another peeper chance. That was his first goal as a Nashville Predator, giving Nashville a 2-goal lead after 2. Michael McCarron made it 4-1 4 minutes into the third period off of a Blues turnover. A few minutes later, things were looking good. Nashville had a 3-on-1 chance. but that ended up turning into a Jake Neighbors goal at the other end to make it a 2-goal game. Jeremy Lauzon was whistled for a trip with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left to play. Jordan Kyrou capitalized on the Blues power play, making it a 1-goal game. Sweet baby Jesus. We just opened the book and didn't know a question on it, but Filip Forsberg and Mark Jankowski added 2 empty net goals, making the final score 6-3. Here is what's true about last night's 6-3 win. Nashville was outplayed through the first 2 periods. And overall, the stats lean heavily in favor of the St. Louis Blues. They had the Corsi 4 advantage as far as puck possession. They led in high danger chances. They led in expected goals for. They recorded 47 shots on goal. So how did Nashville pull this off, my friends? It is shocking when I explain it to you. Special teams, Juuse Saros, and a bit of help from some of the stars. Andrew Brunette talked about the performance of the team overall in last night's post game. This is what he had to say, summarizing the game.
Yeah, it wasn't our best effort. Credit to them. They're a little bit more desperate team. It took us a while to get going. We're on our heels a lot of the night, but we got great goaltending and special teams we talked about this morning stepped up and gave us a chance to win the game.
If you played that game in November, even if you won, you'd probably hate it. But at this point of the year or 2 weeks from now, you play that game and you find a way to win. That's what you got to do this time of year, right?
You do, and they're not going to be, it's not, like I said, it's not going to be great every night. And maybe a little bit unrealistic expectations. You think you're going to have your A game, and I think we had it. Even the losses, maybe the Arizona game, at times got a little loose. But the Colorado and the Boston game probably took a big chunk out of us. I mean, that was a heck of a hockey game. So I think tonight we didn't really have it, which is fine. But we found a way. It shows a little bit of the maturity of the group. I thought our third period was kind of a playoff kind of mindset where we didn't give up a whole lot till we got in some penalty trouble, and they're pulling their goalies, so you're going to be on your heels. But I thought we showed tremendous poise, made some big plays. McDonough made a heck of a little poise play down the stretch there to get us going.
I think Andrew Brunette made a couple of good points when he was talking about last night's game. This was not Nashville's best performance by any stretch of the imagination, especially those first 2 periods. The Blues well outplayed the Predators in those 40 minutes. But he talked about the fact that the Boston game, the Colorado game, may have taken a lot out of this Predators team. And I think you can look back and see where just physically and kind of mentally, those games were really tough for the Predators. He also said 2 words that I think really apply to this Predators team right now. He talked about maturity and poise. We talked about the Predators had a couple of penalties late where St. Louis could have gotten back into this game. I think earlier in the season, you may have seen a Predators team buckle under that kind of pressure. But they really played with a tremendous amount of poise when it became a 1-goal game. Nashville didn't panic. They did what they needed to do to get the win. One of the big factors in this win that we have to talk about is the performance of Juuse Saros. If you were wondering how Juuse Saros is doing after maybe not so great a recent performance, my friends, Juuse Saros is feeling just fine. He was under attack, all night long. Again, 47 shots on goal. And Saros came away with a .936 save percentage. He made 100% of the saves on the high danger chances that St. Louis generated. And here's what's real. He probably did not have very much help in front of him. And this was a game where if you go back and you watch the highlights of this game, you were going to see some of those saves that are absolutely shocking from a goaltender. I mean, he was covering the net. He was blocking shots. He was really dialed in. That is the Saros you want to see heading into a potential playoff push. I will say this about the national broadcast and Juuse Saros, and this is just a thing for me, is if you turned the number of times a national broadcast references Juuse Saros's height into a drinking game, you wouldn't make it past the first period, because all we heard last night about Saros was his size and his stature. Juuse Saros is 5, whatever he wants to be, and he is doing just fine. So a huge night from Juuse Saros. This was actually one of those games that the goaltender stole for the Predators. We haven't had a lot of those this season. This was one of those. Coming up, we're going to talk about Filip Forsberg's performance last night. And friends, I can't believe this. We're going to talk about special teams in a hocktimistic way. Pretty surprising after the way we've talked about it recently. Plus, I'm going to explain the Predators' magic number. We're going to talk about where it sits after last night's win. First, I want to let you know today's episode is brought to you by our great friends at Robinhood. Did you know that even if you have a 401k for retirement, you can still have an IRA? Robinhood has the only IRA that gives you a 3% boost on every dollar you contribute when you subscribe to Robinhood Gold. But get this. Now through April 30th, Robinhood is even boosting every single dollar you transfer in from other retirement accounts with a 3% match. That's right, no cap on the 3% match. Robinhood Gold gets you the most for your retirement thanks to their IRA with a 3% match. This offer is good through April 30th. Get started at robinhood.com/boost. Subscription fees apply. And now for some legal info. Claim as of Q1 2024, validated by Radius Global Market Research. Investing involves risk, including loss. Limitations apply to IRAs and 401ks. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold for 1 year from the date of first 3% match. Must keep Robinhood IRA for 5 years. The 3% matching on transfers is subject to specific terms and conditions. Robinhood IRA available to U.S. customers in good standing. Robinhood Financial, LLC, member SIPC, is a registered broker-dealer. On Monday's show, we are going to have plenty to talk about as the Nashville Predators head out this weekend on one of 2 remaining back-to-backs in their regular season. We're going to recap those games, and of course, we will have our weekly plus-minus segment on Monday as well. Last night, Predators got back in the win column with what could in no way be called their best performance of the season. So how did they pull it off? Well, we talked about Juuse Saros. We also want to give some credit to Filip Forsberg. Filip Forsberg had a 3-point night last night, scored 2 goals. First one was a power play goal. Hallelujah. The second was an empty net goal. He also had an assist on Roman Josi's goal in the first minute of the game. Here is what is so interesting about Filip Forsberg's performances lately. And I don't know whether you have heard this or not, but Filip Forsberg has not been at practice. He is not practicing with the team, and this has been going on for a long time now. We don't know a lot of specifics. I can tell you what we do know. We have heard from Andrew Brunette. We have heard from Barry Trotz that there is some sort of a cut, we believe, is the issue, and it's just having trouble healing. It's a nagging kind of cut, not healing up well. And so they are resting Filip Forsberg in practices. But he is coming into the games and doing what he did last night. 2 goals, 1 assist. Very important performance from Filip Forsberg. It's not always easy to jump into a game when you haven't practiced with the team. Filip Forsberg has had to do that recently, and he's done very well with it. Andrew Brunette kind of addressed the Filip Forsberg practice conversation, and this is what he had to say about it. And we're also going to hear from Phil himself on what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I think for him, I'm sure he'd, like some touches too, but he's been, driving force here all season long. That line, I think we play so many games that it probably beneficial down the stretch. I think the rest is big. I think, he's going to play his 20 minutes a night. He's going to get his touches, and he can, rest up and get back at it. We're playing every second night. We have 4 and 6 here. But yeah, I think if you'd ask him, I'm sure he'd like to have a few more touches. I think if you look at his game, sometimes early on he's a little rusty, and then the game, then he takes over the game when he gets going. So
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, obviously, ideally, I'd be out there working with the boys, and hopefully we can get there here pretty soon. But at the same time, just gotta try to do what I can do in the gym. Obviously, working hard there and trying to stay ready and try to get the legs going, the leg straight and warm up maybe. So.
Any of the guys give you a hard time?
I mean, a little bit, I guess. At least, some of the guys are liking the protocol that I got going on. But like I said, ideally, I could get back out there as quick as possible.
I love that he kind of jokes about the fact that some of his teammates are a little jealous of the protocol he has. But here's what's real. Filip Forsberg would like to be out on the ice for practice. It is very different when you are not in the practices doing the line rushes. The way they're working that right now, when they're doing line rushes at morning skates before games, Anthony Beauvillier or Cody Glass, whoever is going to be a healthy scratch that night, is taking the line rushes with Nyquist and Ryan O'Reilly. But Filip Forsberg is not just sitting around. He's in the gym. He's putting in the work. You heard Andrew Brunette say, maybe there is a little bit of rust and dust in the first few minutes of a game that he has to shake off. But if this is the performance we're going to get from Filip Forsberg out of practice, I think we can all feel okay about it. Now, is he getting grief from some of his teammates? Yeah, maybe a little bit. This is what Roman Josi had to say about Filip Forsberg missing out on practices.
Oh, yeah, all the time. Yeah. But he's okay. He's fine. He's I think we're just going to keep him off the ice. He's playing just fine, so. I know, yeah. Yeah, exactly. We told him too, like, maybe just take the summer off and don't practice. But no, obviously he's battling through some stuff, so it's pretty cool to see how he's battling through it and playing on that level. And like I said before, he can stay off as much as he wants if he keeps scoring like that.
I love that. Hey, you know what? Take the summer off. You're playing so well without practice. Let's see what you do coming back next season. Of course, that's not going to happen. Big night for Filip Forsberg. He tied the franchise's record for goals in a single season with that empty netter. He has 43 goals on the season, tied with Matt Duchene. You remember Forsberg and Duchene battled back and forth for this record back in the 2021-22 season. Friends, Filip Forsberg has 6 games left, and if I was a betting person, I would bet on Forsberg owning this record by the end of the regular season. It was very big that Filip Forsberg scored those 2 goals because here's what's real. You need your best players to be your best players. Forsberg, 3-point night. Gus Nyquist, 3 assists. Ryan O'Reilly, 2 assists. Roman Josi had that goal early, which I think was critical for the Predators to get on the board. That kind of kept them mentally in the game as well as on the scoreboard under this push from St. Louis. Again, Juuse Saros, huge night. Last night, your best players were your best players. And it was, again, still not a fantastic performance by the Predators, but that's going to be a pivotal thing for Nashville. The fact that Filip Forsberg scored a special teams goal was huge for this team. We have been harping on special teams lately and not in a good way. Today, we are going to speak about special teams very hocktimistically because special teams was the shocking difference maker in this game. Let's talk about Nashville's penalty kill. Here's what's real. Nashville committed some dumb penalties last night. You just had these undisciplined stick penalties, hooks, slashes. You had a high stick. And they came at very inopportune times. You had 2 penalties in the last 2.5 minutes of this game in a close game. Last night, the penalty kill went 1 for 6. Here's what's real. St. Louis is not a team tearing it up on the power play, but Nashville has struggled on the penalty kill. And this is a good confidence booster. And it helped the Predators stay in this game. Over the course of these 3 losses, the penalty kill has only been 63%. Over that 18-game point streak, the penalty kill, 84%. Special teams matters. You had great performances last night on the kill. You had big blocks from McCarron. Of course, Ryan McDonough, who is phenomenal on the kill. Spencer Stastny. You had Kiefer Sherwood out there. This was this could have been a very different game if Nashville's penalty kill fell apart or fell into some bad habits. So shout out to the penalty kill. They had to kill off 6 penalties. They killed off 5 of 6. Not too shabby. Now we have to talk about the power play. And if you recall, earlier this week against Boston, we saw what is perhaps the worst power play performance we've seen all season from this Nashville team. And that carried over from a Colorado game. Between Boston and Colorado, the Preds went 0 for 9 on the power play. Now, Boston and Colorado, 2 top penalty kill teams. But you have got to be able to convert on special teams. The Predators last night went 2 for 3 on the power play. Nashville was outshot. The Blues had more puck possession time. The reason Nashville won, special teams. And friends, that's not a sentence I thought we would say very often this season. So what does this 6-3 win over the Blues mean for Nashville's playoff chances? Let's talk magic number. Magic number is all about the points a team needs to secure a spot in the postseason. This is not points in the regular season. It's something different. You get points towards the magic number for Nashville wins, and you get points towards your magic number for losses by teams outside of the playoff chase. So before last night, Nashville's magic number was 8. They needed 8 points. They could get those from Nashville wins, which would give you 2 points, or from St. Louis losses, which would give Nashville 2 points. And we're not picking on St. Louis. It's just that St. Louis is the team that is just outside of the wild card. So last night's game was a 4-point game. Now, it doesn't mean that Nashville went from 90 points in the standings to 94 points. It's not those kind of points. It's magic number points. So what it means is that last night, Nashville gained 2 points with the win, and they gained 2 points because St. Louis lost. So right now, Nashville's magic number is 4. Also helps that Minnesota lost. So how does Nashville get these 4 points that they need, their magic number, to lock up a postseason game? Well, continue rooting for St. Louis losses, which, if we're honest, on a cellular level, not very difficult. Not picking on St. Louis, but they're the team that is just outside of the playoffs right now, trying to make that push. This weekend, they have back-to-back games against San Jose and Anaheim. Pretty easy game, so I'm not sure we can bank on that. Again, keep an eye on Minnesota. They're mostly out of it. I think they have a 2% chance of making the playoffs, but we're going to continue rooting for their losses as well. Or Nashville can win 2 games in regulation or overtime and earn those 4 points and secure their place in the postseason. And friends, they could do it this weekend. Nashville has back-to-back games on the road. Coming up, we're going to do a quick preview of these weekend games, including the keys to getting these wins. We're also going to take a minute to talk about some Big Friday feelings about a Predators player who earned some well-deserved kudos today. First, want to let you know today's episode is brought to you by our friends at eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. That's the formula for winning championships. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance: superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you are into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. I can't believe I am saying this, but next week is the last full week of the 2023-24 regular season. It feels like it has gone so fast, and it is going to be a race to what we hope is a potential playoff opportunity for the Nashville Predators. Coming up next week, we're going to have your game previews, your game recaps. We'll keep you updated on the playoff outlook for the Predators, and of course, all of the stories that pop up in between. So make sure you tune in next week. Speaking of games, Nashville has 2 big games this weekend on the road, and they are not going to be easy games. Saturday, Nashville plays the New York Islanders, and then Sunday, they head over to New Jersey to play the Devils. New York Islanders, this is a team that is fighting for a chance at the postseason. Currently, they hold the second wild card spot in the East, but the Capitals and Red Wings are only 1 point behind them, and I believe the Capitals may have a game in hand. So this is still a pretty close race in the East. Last night, the Islanders beat the Columbus Blue Jackets 4-2. just for fun, if you have a minute, go Google or look up on YouTube the goal in last night's game by Marchenko. He had a goal off the mask of Sorokin and down his back. It was just an incredible shot. So might be worth looking at just for fun. The Islanders have won 3 of their last 5. They have wins over the Florida Panthers. They have an overtime win over Philadelphia. So they're playing pretty good hockey, and they've got a lot of good goal scorers. They've got Bo Horvat, Brock Nelson, Matthew Barzal. Noah Dobson is a defenseman that has been in the Norris Trophy conversation as well. He has 9 goals, 58 assists on the season. Also have Ilya Sorokin in net. He has a .908 save percentage on the season, 3.02 goals against average. They don't have a back-to-back going into Saturday's game, so I would expect Sorokin will get the start. He did start last night against Columbus as well, so I'm guessing we will see him in net. We'll have to wait and see. New Jersey, they're pretty far out of it. They have less than a 1% chance of making the postseason, but as Lloyd from Dumb and Dumber says, so you're saying there's a chance. They have lost their last 2 games against Pittsburgh and the New York Rangers, and they're a little bit on the struggle bus, which I have to tell you surprises me, because this New Jersey Devils team has so much talent, and a lot of people, including myself, thought that this was going to be a season where the Devils were going to make a really good, deep playoff run. And they are a good team. You know, in March, they've got wins over some quality teams. They beat Dallas 6-2, Winnipeg 4-1. They beat Toronto 6-3. And, you know, again, this is a team with lots of talent. Jesper Bratt, 35 goals on the season. Jack Hughes, 26 goals. Nico Hischier, 25 goals. Of course, they have the extra Hughes, Luke, Timo Meier. They have a young player. I was really hoping the Predators could get Dawson Mercer at the trade deadline. Didn't get him. So what is the problem with this New Jersey Devils team? Why aren't they in a better spot right now? Well, goaltending has been a problem for the Devils. And, you know, they were sniffing around Juuse Saros at the trade deadline, but Barry Trotz held firm on his price. And so they traded for Kaapo Kakkonen. Both their goaltenders right now, Jake Allen and Kakkonen, have sub 900 save percentages. So an opportunity there if Nashville can get hot offensively. What are the keys to these 2 games this weekend? Number 1, Forsberg and that top line have to get going. You need your best players, again, to be your best players. We need to get good goaltending from Kevin Lankinen and Juuse Saros again. You know, Lankinen's last outing, a little bit rough versus the Avs. We want to see him rebound like Saros did in last night's game. Predators need to clean up turnovers and stop committing penalties. They are back to committing penalties where during that 18-game point streak, they were playing a much cleaner game. So let's just cut that out and continue the special teams. Both New York and New Jersey are kind of middle of the pack on their power play. When it comes to the penalty kill, New Jersey ranks 12th in the league. The Islanders are dead last. So this Islanders game could be a chance to continue to build momentum on that power play. Of course, Monday, we will recap these 2 games and check in and see how close are the Predators to locking up that postseason spot. Want to wrap up today's show with my big Friday feelings, my friends. Today, the NHL teams began announcing their nominees for the Bill Masterson Memorial Trophy. It's voted on by the Professional Hockey Writers Association, people in each of the cities of each of the teams. And the Bill Masterson Memorial Trophy is awarded to the player who best exemplifies qualities of perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to ice hockey. This year's Predators nominee, Michael McCarron. And my big Friday feeling is overjoyed about this. Michael McCarron is having a career season. He has 12 goals, 22 points. This is a career season in goals, assists, and points. He is a major part of Nashville's identity line. He is trusted in the most critical moments against the top lines across this league. And friends, he is the best hype guy ever. I would be so much more productive in my everyday life if I just had a little Michael McCarron around to hype me up. Now, last season, Michael McCarron entered the NHL's Players Assistance Program. We don't know much about why, nor do we need to know why. Not our business. But McCarron went through that program, and he has come back not just playing so well on the ice, but just doing well off the ice. And that is something that is so worth celebrating. Now, I don't pretend to know Michael McCarron very well. I have had an opportunity several times to sit down and chat with him, to interview him, to talk with him. And this is what I can tell you about my interaction with Michael McCarron. And that is, McCarron is a delight. He's just a delight. He is smart. He is funny. He is energetic, and he is so kind. Like, I would throw down for Michael McCarron. So I want to give a shout out to McCarron for this career season that he's having. Remember, McCarron was not even guaranteed a spot on this roster. He was a healthy scratch at the beginning of this season, and he has come in and he has made himself and his line mates a critical part of Nashville's success. So congratulations to McCarron for the career season, for this nominee, and just saw on social media, he's going to become a dad. So congratulations to Michael McCarron. Again, big weekend coming up for the Nashville Predators back-to-back. Islanders, Devils. We're going to be back on Monday. We're going to recap the weekend games. Hey, we may be able to talk about the Predators clinching a playoff spot. Let's see what happens in these games. Until Monday, be sure to check out Locked On Predators on your favorite podcasting platform and subscribe there. You can check us out on YouTube. Be sure to like and subscribe so you'll be the first to know every time a new episode drops. And of course, you can always check us out on social media at LO_Predators. That's going to do it for this Friday episode of Locked On Preds. Thank you again for making us your first listen of the day. We'll be back on Monday with an all-new episode. We'll see you then.